Well, Nicole, 2024,
Happy New Year.
hooray! Welcome, trendsetters. We're Alicia and Nicole from Positive Image. As salon owners, hairstylists, and business coaches, we're here to help you navigate the ever-changing landscape of the beauty industry and discover the secrets to creating a thriving salon business. So grab your favorite beverage, cozy up in your salon chair, and let's dive into the world of hairstyle and entrepreneurship together. Do you normally do resolutions?
In the past, we have, as a family, so my husband and I have two stepkids, we have talked about kind of what's been really good for the year and where we want to move forward. Once in a while, when we remember, we actually write them down. And that is a pretty neat thing to read the following year and just to see if we've achieved those. But resolutions, I feel like that word is such an old-fashioned word. And I guess the lingo that's happening around social media and stuff like that is definitely goal and goal setting. So I'm very much a goal orientated human and a goal setting orientated human. So yes, I guess the long-winded answer of that is yes, I do goal setting for myself for the new year.
I like it.
How about you? What's your routine?
I once heard the change on the resolution to revolution because of
Ooh.
the idea that resolution is to suggest that you need to solve something. But just because we have a new year doesn't necessarily mean that we need to solve something. So I also appreciate the idea of growth or goals or reflection and BHAGs, big, hairy, audacious goals. Make them so big. Yeah, I think to me, I think that's the big part is like reflecting and then continuing to grow forward. And I think when I think about stuff like growth and goals, I think about, the idea that we kind of, I feel like society gets stuck in this system where we're always trying to get all of the things so that we're just good. But in a reality, if you want to continue to grow, you're never just good. Like your life should be great and you're going to have ups and downs, but you're like the stock market, it should kind of continue to go in a slowly bobbing upward motion over time. Um, and that's how I like to look at things. Sometimes there can be like growth paralysis of, gosh, this is exhausting, putting myself in the uncomfortable situations all the time. But at the same time, I don't know, sometimes I feel a little blah if I'm not working on myself and trying to grow.
And I think we need that as humans. So I think it's called the law of transmutation of energy. So meaning that we're always moving. Like
Mhm.
cells, they're always moving. And so when it comes to humans and goals, you're either moving forward or you're moving backwards.
Okay.
So having a goal or having a destination or a resolution, revelation, whatever it is you want to call it, puts us in a forward motion movement. If we
Mm.
don't have those things, then we tend to go backwards. And I don't think there are very many people who want to go backwards, but the awareness around this and the awareness of, okay, I need to keep moving. I need to keep progressing forward is huge.
Part of that makes me think of survival mode, but I guess it's the like if you actually set your goal, then it's not a continuing to move forward in the sense that you just like have to keep moving. It's the sake of like you actually have direction and you know where you're going and you have intention.
With your intention, what that is your attitude. So an attitude of the plane, of an airplane or a boat is the direction of the plane itself to the event. So if your attitude or your direction towards something is heading towards something, then you can have the attitude towards it. So hence the positive attitude. But if you don't actually have an end goal or know where you're going, your attitude is not going to be something that you choose. It's going to be something that's chosen by your situation. So because you have a goal or you have an intention, it means that you have a really good attitude because you have something that you're striving towards rather than having, you're flailing around and your
Yeah.
attitude is an uncertain attitude, which then can be it doesn't have to be bad attitude, but it can be an unknown attitude.
I love when you bring out the actual technical teachings of what we're talking about, but we're just talking about versus you share the technical understandings of what these things are.
It helps that my husband's he's a pilot. And so he's talking about attitude in a very textbook manner when it comes to an airplane, literally. And then I'm like, oh, I like that. I can use that in the coaching. So there you are.
I love it.
But anyways, intention. What I know for myself, I like to choose a word or a phrase or a group of words to set my intention for the year. I would love to find out about yours, Alicia, and our listeners. Do they have a word or a phrase or an intention or something that is their kind of, song for 2024 that they'd love to kind of, they do things by because that is the word of the year.
So everyone who's listening, go back to the Instagram post and comment and share with us. And I think that'll be really exciting. Just get everyone excited about cheering each other on our intentions. For me, we're chatting a little bit about this. I think for the last few years, it's been a bit challenging. I used to be a huge goal setter and really great with how to do all those things. And the last few years has been a bit more of a decision paralysis, motivation paralysis. And I think there's a lot of people that have also felt that over the last few years, not really knowing what's going on with their businesses or understanding how to project because everything's changed, everything's different. So I think what I really want is a little bit business, a little bit personal, is peacefulness. I think is my intention. Just more peace, more me, more balance. And I think for the salon, it just continued growth. I think that's the nice intention there. What about you? You got some thoughts going on there?
So the words that really came to mind for me this year was teacher, leader, and enjoyment. So those were the ones that really resonated with me. There's a few more in there, but those were the strong ones. So my intention this year that I set the end of November, because I have to change, if I'm going to change my schedule, it takes me a few months in order to get that into play, where I've actually toned down how much working behind the chair that I'm doing. And I'm really purposefully blocking time off that I can work with my apprentices and with my coaching clients. And so I want to explore the teacher in me, and I want to really be intentional about this is the time that I am giving to my apprentices, or this is the time that they have my undivided attention. I'm not trying to fit their education into my schedule. My schedule is surrounded by their education. And so I think from that, it also helps make me become a stronger leader. And then I like the word balance that you used, having that little bit more balance within the life of the enjoyment side of it, of the teaching side of it, of the working side of it. So those are my words or focus or attitude this year.
I love those. I really like the enjoyment, because I think to really succeed at those things, you do have to enjoy it. And to be able to enjoy our work life as much as we do enjoy it anyways, we do actually have to find joy in our personal lives as well to fuel us so that we can actually show up. Because if you are going to be a teacher and leader, you do actually need to have a full cup. You can't come with a half cup, because it takes patience. It takes listening. And it takes being present And I think if we don't have that enjoyment and that full cup, it is really challenging to be present for those things. But I'm excited to see how your year goes with those things. And I'm excited to hear that you've fully stepped into changing up your schedule a little bit behind the chair.
Yeah. Well, and I think you hit a really good point with the full cup. And when it comes to goal setting or thinking about the new year and what you want to achieve, I always like to think about goal setting as a triangle rather than a square or a line or anything like that. So having that balance within the triangle. And I always like to break up my goals into my professional goals, my personal goals, and my play goals. So I've been calling it my 3 Ps. And I get a giggle from Alicia.
I don't know. That makes me giggle. I like that. I like that personal and play is separate.
And I'm a huge traveler. And so for me, my play goal is my travel goals for the year. Because my personal is really my personal development. That could be my mental health. That could be my physical health. It could be weight, your weight. Your personal is really about you as your spiritual side, whatever it is that you need to do internally. Where my play could be spending more time with my friends or my partner, or where do I get to involve play into my life? Because we can't just be work, 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 work. We're going to burn out. So we need to have that balance of, okay, I work. So I have my professional things. Where do my monetary goals or where do my business goals want to be? My personal side, where is my spiritual goals? It's my mindset. It's my body. It's my foundation. And then my play goals. Where do I relax? Where do I like to have fun? And I find that triangle, when it's properly balanced, and there's that word again, balanced, then you are functioning as you're supposed to, and you're going to get momentum, and you're going to be as strong, and your cup is going to be full if your triangle is equal. But if I have to go back into my high school geometry or geometry is if I'm an isosceles triangle, then I'm not balanced. Yeah. I'm not balanced. So something's off. So I'm going to be burnt out, or I'm not going to be making enough money, or I'm going to be miserable because I'm not playing enough.
Yeah, I love that. I don't know what the studies are. I'm sure anyone who wants to look into it. But I do believe that there are studies done about how adults stop playing. And that is commonly one of our bigger issues, for not finding enjoyment out of life. I think that's exciting. I'm excited for you. Nicole, I would love to hear from you. How can people find their intention?
How can they find their intentions? Well, I think,
or goals.
Well, I think the first step is really to ask yourself some really deep questions. And, around New Year's is the best time to focus on it. So I like to do, as I said earlier, we write ourselves questions as a family. So some of the questions that I like to ask myself to really reflect on the year is, what did I do really well this year in? And sometimes I'll grab my calendar, and I'll look back on the year and just kind of like almost going into that gratitude mindset. But where did I achieve? Like, where do I give myself that big high five? And yes, I did high five myself on the call. And write it down and celebrate those. Like, we need to celebrate our wins.
Yeah.
And 100%. So really, exactly. And it's like our own Christmas present. Like, if you need to do with that with a glass of sparkling, non-alcoholic or alcoholic or whatever your beverage is, and just enjoy that, writing it down. I think it's such an amazing thing just to see, okay, 2023, what were my big wins? And then from there, so actually, what were your big wins this year? Putting her on the spot.
A little. That's okay. It's the quick decision of like, what do I share? I'll share this. I took out a consumer proposal at the, I guess, onset of 2020, and I just paid it off. So that's very exciting. So I can start to rebuild my credit again. And I'm not concerned about that actually at all. I think that'll happen pretty quickly. I've done it before, unfortunately. So yeah, I'm pretty excited to have the past in the past and move forward. And I'd say similarly, like having a good personal financial year, that the salon finally feels like it's bounced back as well. And we've just been consistent and growing. And, to me, those feel like pretty good wins. And I feel like I'm growing a great team that, I don't know, we're just a fun little happy bunch. And that makes me happy. I like people being happy. And I guess the other big win is that beginning this week, I'm going to start a pottery class because I haven't really done a hobby for myself in any like length of time, um, since I've opened the salon 9 years ago. So I think to me, that's a really big win to be able to invest in that for myself and like set out the time out of my schedule and plan it and go for that. And I think that's really going to help me fill my cup.
And that kind of plays into the play side and the personal side, depending on what attribute it brings out in you. Does it bring out that meditative side, or does it really bring out that like playful creative side? So I'm excited to see that, where that goes.
Me too.
And maybe I get a random cup.
Maybe. Yeah, might not. You might never know what I could create. Maybe a little jewelry holder. I don't know. We'll see what I make. We'll see what happens.
That'll be fun.
Do you want to share some wins for you?
So I'll go with my my 3 Ps. My professional win was I have been writing for probably 2 years about the number of staff members that I have or that I would like to have in the salon. And I am there. I achieved it. And
Nice.
everybody gets along so well, especially for a group of stylists who, we can be an ego driven industry, and I have 9 people. So having 9 people for the most part really have that synergy together. It just warms my heart. So that was a huge professional win.
I love that because it's challenging.
Oh, it's so challenging, but it is so rewarding at the same time.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I guess I mean it's challenging in the sense like, kudos to you because it is challenging once you get past that like number 5, number 6 to really keep everything together, and in line and everyone happy and working positively together. So
yeah, my play win was that I love to travel again. I had a fun goal of hitting silver in my WestJet, which is an airline company, tier, which wasn't, it's for somebody who doesn't travel for a living.
yeah,
It's a tricky goal because that means you have to go on a few trips, but I not only hit it in the WestJet, but I actually hit it in Air Canada too. So I am looking forward to 2024 and some lounges coming my way. and and my personal goal is this year, I really embraced my more spiritual side. I got a coach who was a spiritual coach and really helped embrace my intuition. And I learned more about my intuition, and I really took a lot more time to meditate and to read my cards and really tap into that side of me that is a scary side to see. And it's a scary side to put out there, even on a podcast like this, because it's in my mind, there's a bit of taboo around it. But I feel like that it's kind of coming all together.
Lean into that hippy dippy witchy self. It's okay.
I love it. Bring on all the woo. So even on my own personal Instagram, this year, 2024, I really want to do a few more readings on there and have a little bit more of the tarot or some of the other ways that I tap into spirit. So that is my personal win and a future personal goal of mine.
Nice. I like those. I like that. That's really fun.
So I think with trying to kind of find what your wins are is such a good way to kind of give you that momentum forward. And sometimes that makes you come up with even more ideas moving forward as to where you want your next year to be, because it almost starts that side of your brain kind of working. What am I doing well, or what have I done well? And I know for somebody who is not, their mindset isn't focused on always what am I doing right. There are some people out there that focus on what am I doing wrong. And so there is a way that you can actually take what you think you've done, say wrong, but where you think you failed or where you could improve. And if you actually go and write those down, so write things that you think you fell short on and just write them down and don't judge them. Like take your, that human judgment side out of it. It's just neutral. And then once you've written them down, if you look at each one and really look at the first one and just say, what are my learnings from this? How can you turn that into a win? How can you turn that into something that you've done well, or something that you've learned out of? Or you wouldn't be in this position if it hadn't been for this negative or so-called negative thing.
Yeah, take the lessons from it. I think that in itself is interesting growth work is to, I found over the years a lot of people, I don't know if it's fair to say a lot of people, some people will dwell on the negative things and they can't move forward. However, what's done is done. We can always find the lessons from everything. And I think that that's a key part of reflecting on our years, is to see the things that didn't work, but what have we learned, or maybe what lessons have we gained from that experience? And I don't know if you'd agree, but I feel like that was the first few years of business.
Oh yeah.
Just constant lessons in, our, what is it, masters in business in the thick of experiencing life in business.
Well, we learn more from losing per se than we do from winning. And so I think just looking at like, it's not going to be perfect the first, like think about the first time you picked up a pair of scissors and went to go cut somebody's hair.
Yeah.
Chances are it's the worst haircut you've ever given somebody. But how much did you learn from that experience?
Oh yeah, 100%. I'm curious, do you think that majority or it's just a normal amount of salon owners that seek perfection or have perfectionist issues? Do you feel like that's a common thing, or is that just like a me and a few others thing?
I think being a salon owner, you are a bit more of that A-type personality.
Mm-hmm.
And we do want things done a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
I think salon owners are always trying to improve ourselves. Whether, I don't know if perfection is the right word, but it's along those same lines of, yeah, we see ourselves at the best possible place, but we're always putting ourselves down because we're not where our ideal self is.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Always seeking that higher standard.
Exactly. There's a really, really interesting concept. There's a book written by Benjamin Hardy
Mm-hmm.
and Dan Sullivan. Benjamin Hardy, fantastic author. Dan Sullivan, fantastic coach. Dan Sullivan came up with this concept for owners, entrepreneurs. And I think it's an entrepreneur. I wouldn't say it's a business owner. I think it's an entrepreneur thing, that we love to judge where we are right now from our ideal self. And his concept is we need to go back to where we were, where we started, and judge ourselves from that point. And so looking at where we have come from rather than where we are going to. And when when I put that into my brain, it was like, wow, look at what I've achieved, rather than like, well, why don't I have 9 staff members? Or why am I not making $1 million a year? Rather than like, I started at me and now I have 8 staff members.
Yeah.
And so it just puts that amazing positive spin, and that gives you that momentum to move forward as well.
I think that's way better than what I was going to add. I was just thinking about, like feel like we regularly talk about this, that it's always harder to see ourselves. It's always easier to see others. And I think about how hard I am on myself and my business and the level of perfection or high standard that I seek for myself. Yet at the same time, I know that the fails or the downfalls or mistakes or whatever you want to call it is where you learn. And I know that with any apprentice or stylist or anyone else that I've coached, I've always told them to go for the fails because that's where you're going to make the most learn. Like it is not bad to get a negative thing happen as long as you're learning from it, as long as you're growing from it, as long as you're reflecting and moving forward from it. So what I did want to go back to what you're talking about looking at where you came from, where you started from. I wanted to get into what you do every year with your journals.
Yes.
Tell us your billion.
It's not my idea, but I've adapted it to
That's okay.
my own. So every year, and so we're recording this, it is actually New Year's Eve, 2023. And this morning I finished writing my journal. So I start a brand new book every single January 1st. And in this book, I write out the weekly dates so that I have a way to it helps me kind of schedule things or look at my year ahead. And then I can also look back. When I pull a 2023 or 2022, I can look at like, oh, what was going on in that time? So I actually write my goals in the back of the book, my professional, my play, and my personal. I write books that have been recommended to me throughout the year. So if I'm more of a listener than a reader. So if I'm on my Audible or I am trying to look for, somebody's like, what do I get you for Christmas? I can put a book down that has been recommended. In the front, I write down my words. I wrote down phrases. I write down things that really pick me up. So when I open my book, it's the first thing I see. I see my I am statements. I see the ideas that I have of who I want to be this year. And this is my journal. This is everything. It comes with me on a daily basis. And it is a representation of me in the year of 2024. I get so excited. I know when we were talking beforehand about this, I probably was jumping up and down like a little kid saying, finish my journal. And it's such a good time just to kind of reflect and to look back on the past year and then being able to look forward on on the next year. So if anybody wants to know more, I'm always happy to talk about my journal. Probably my most dorkiest thing that I do at New Year's, but it is great. So reach out to me. As I said, I'm always happy to talk about books.
Nicole, I absolutely love and adore how much joy you receive from not just the journals, but the learning. Because I think that's actually like, it's not just the learning, I guess, it's the preparation and the planning and the organization. Though I do think that you get a fair bit of like excitement for your year of new learnings that you're going to have and reflecting on the previous learnings. And that's a big part of the joy for you to have your journals.
They're such a good thing. Like it's something I can hold in my hand. And then
Yeah.
when I look back at old ones going, holy crap, I achieved that. Like I find it allows me to dream bigger because
Yeah.
sometimes I'll achieve goals that I didn't even know I achieved, or I didn't even remember that they were a goal. But now I can look back going, holy, yeah, I did it. Like I achieved that. Me. I manifested that shit. It's great.
You sure did. Was there anything else you wanted to add?
Yes. I wanted to give the listener just a few other things to think about. I have two things. Think about this as a journal topic for you is if you had a magic wand and anything was possible, what would you want to achieve? And just allow yourself to dream. And if that gets stuck, or if you get kind of like, oh, I don't even know where to start, then I would go into this question, or it's a list, and it's a list of 50 things that money can buy. And I know when I first did this exercise from my coach, it was hard. It seems like such an easy thing to do. It was hard. And write that list down. Challenge yourself to write down 50 things that money can buy and see how many you come up with. And then keep that list. And when you bought those things, or those things have been discovered for you, cross it off, make a new list. And that will help expand your mind and allow you to dream big.
I like it. That's exciting. Shall we recap?
That is great place to go. Let's recap.
So we're going to set an intention in your 3 Ps.
We're going to set an intention. So let's set a word.
Yeah.
And then focus on your goals, your 3P goals. So your professional, your personal, and your play goals.
Reflect on 2023.
So what did you do well? Where do you feel like you fell short? And how can you turn your shortfalls into wins? And then just journal and ask yourself, if anything was possible, what do I want to happen? And allow yourself to dream that you can buy or get or attract anything that you want. And that 2024 is your best year yet. Thanks so much for hanging out with us today. Take this knowledge and just keep developing yourself. And hey, we want to hear from you too. Join the conversation by using our hashtag #PositiveImagePodcast. Share your thoughts, questions, and success stories. Who knows? We might just feature you on an upcoming episode. But don't keep us a secret. Tag your friends too. And want to keep learning? Check out our show notes. Find us on Instagram at hello.positiveimage, and be sure to hit that subscribe button so you'll never miss an episode filled with inspiration and insights.